Church tradition claims that John the Apostle wrote the fourth gospel while he was close to the end of his life. So let's look at what the evidence says. Like the other gospels, the Gospel of John does not have a direct claim to authorship in it, but there are a lot of internal and external clues about who the author may be. Internally, we can see that the phrase, quote, "the disciple whom Jesus loved," end quote, appears in the Gospel of John 5 times. Now, there's a lot of research that has been put into this question, but the most likely conclusion is that the, quote, "one who Jesus loved" is John. I put a link in the description to an article if you want to go deeper into that topic. So let's look at some of the external evidence for John being the author of the Gospel of John. First off, we have Irenaeus, who lived from 130 to 200 AD. He wrote that further they teach that John, the disciple of the Lord, indicated the first ogdoad, expressing themselves in these words: John, the disciple of the Lord, wishing to set forth the origin of all things, so as to explain how the Father produced the whole, lays down a certain principle, that namely, which was first begotten by God, which being he has termed both the only begotten Son and God, in whom the Father, after a seminal manner, brought forth all things. So here we can see that Irenaeus believed that John was behind the Gospel of John. Here is an interesting passage in which Clement is quoted by Eusebius. Here's what it says. Again in the same books, Clement has set down a tradition which he had received from the elders before him in regards to the order of the Gospels, to the following effect. He says that the Gospels containing the genealogies were written first, and that the Gospel according to Mark was composed in the following circumstances. Peter, having preached the word publicly at Rome, and by the Spirit proclaimed the Gospel, those who were present, who were numerous, entreated Mark, insomuch as he had attended him from an early period, and remember what had been said, to write down what had been spoken. On his composing the gospel, he handed it to those who had made their request to him, which coming to Peter's knowledge, he neither hindered nor encouraged. But John, the last of all, seeing what was corporeal and what was set forth in the Gospels, on the entreaty of his intimate friends and inspired by the Spirit, composed a spiritual gospel. So once again here, we have confirmation that John is the source of the Gospel of John. Additionally, Ignatius of Antioch, who was a disciple of John, gave a lot of credit to the Gospel of John. He quoted it and treated it like Scripture. So with the Gospel, we can see again that we have unanimous early church confirmation that John is the source for the Gospel of John. We can see when the Gospel talks about, quote, "the disciple whom Jesus loved," end quote, is most likely a reference added to the Gospel by someone else, probably a close associate of John. Whether John put pen to the paper or one of his disciples did, who knew John and knew everything that he said and told them what to write down, I think it's pretty clear that the source for the Gospel of John is John.